ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba and Mpumalanga Premier candidate Thoko Mashiane will lead a picket outside the National Prosecuting Authority's headquarters in Pretoria tomorrow. They're seeking a response to the delay in prosecutions in the Lily mine matter. They will be joined by the families of the 2016 Lily mine victims. Solomon Nyirenda, Yvonne, Mnisi and Nkambule were trapped underground and their bodies never recovered after the lamp room they were in sank at least 60 meters underground when the mine collapsed. Joining us to discuss tomorrow's picket is leader of ActionSA, Mr. Herman Mashaba. Good evening, Mr. Mashaba, and thank you very much for your time. So you've decided to take your fight to the doorstep of the NPA. Talk to us about this.
Well, thank you very much and good evening to the leaders, to the listeners. For why we now taking this matter to the National Prosecuting Authority, just to remind your listeners and South African people, in October last year, the Mbombela Magistrate Court came out with a judgment where the National Prosecuting Authority was given the right to prosecute the people responsible for the collapse of that container, because the collapse of that container was not an accident. It was something that was bound to happen because the mine management were warned about their reckless mining 2 years before this container actually collapsed. And as you can imagine, now it's already over 8 years that that container collapsed. As you're aware, it collapsed on the 5th of February 2016. Now we're sitting at 2024, 8 years later. The families have been camping outside the mine for over 6 years now. And we cannot really understand as to why the NPA is dragging their feet in prosecuting those. The court have actually demanded that people must be prosecuted.
Now, beyond just the prosecutions, your legal team reached a finding that the container can be retrieved, even though the mine and other experts have said it can't. What is the progress on actioning this? Does the mine still maintain that it cannot be retrieved?
Well, I think this was a complete lie. And actually, it really makes me really very angry when you can have a government that can have the audacity to lie to South Africa and the world, because 3 poor black people went down 70 meters down, and you lied to us that that container could not really be retrieved until obviously our intervention as ActionSA. We exposed the lie of our government and the Department of Minerals and Energy in particular, because they had no scientific basis upon which they made the decision that the container cannot be retrieved. Because, and why it's also a fact is that one of the creditors actually who wants to really buy that mine, and one of the conditions is put forward was actually the retrieval of the container. So this was just a pure lie. It's unfortunate. We are really governed by people who are completely heartless. The South African government, honestly, it's a real disappointed to really some of us, and I guess majority of South Africans.
You speak of the creditors. I believe it's Akwamanzi. So those particular creditors, if you're saying this is part of the conditions, where are they in that process of reopening the mine and possibly retrieving the container?
Well, as you are aware, what had happened in the Mbombela Magistrate Court was that the business rescue practitioners, who are now actually now 3 times in contempt of court orders. The last 4 years, ever since we got involved with this particular matter, court have been making the determination to the business rescue practitioners to take this matter to the shareholders to really decide on the best possible buyer. And Akwamanzi, as you've indicated, they've indicated their willingness to buy. They have the money, including their commitment to retrieving this container. So we don't really understand why they're refusing even the business rescue practitioners. People involved in this particular matter are the business owners, the mine owners. You have the South African government through the Department of Minerals and Energy, and the business rescue practitioners. These 3 parties are working in cahoots to ensure that that container is not retrieved. Why? It's something that one of these days will come out, because we are determined as ActionSA to really go deep into this matter. It is for that reason the family, they've now arrived in Pretoria. Tomorrow I'll be taking them to the headquarters the NPA to ask them why they're refusing to prosecute when the court has actually made the determination that people must be prosecuted for negligent mining.
But as for that aspect of them possibly working in cahoots, especially the department, we'll have to give them the opportunity to reply and tell us what exactly is their position now. But how important is it for these families or for their process of closure, for the bodies to be retrieved? Because you've been interacting with them for many years now. How important will this be for their closure? Because we've even had reports where family members have said they actually don't believe their loved ones are dead. It will only be when they see their remains.
Well, I think, part of what the judge said was that, unfortunately, there's just no way that 8 years later that people are not dead. I think their families are traumatized by this. As you can imagine, they lost their 3 loved ones. And now you can imagine what has happened over the last 6 years. Their lives have been completely disrupted, living in tents next to the gate of the mine. They're being refused and denied an opportunity to camp near the mine by our own government and the mine management. So you can imagine they've lost, as I said, lost their loved ones, including their lives being completely disrupted for 6 years, and they are not really prepared. We tried, as ActionSA, to speak to them to go back home so that they can resume their lives while we're busy working on this matter with this uncaring, heartless government. But they are saying no ways that they will live there until such time that this container is retrieved.
Mr. Mashaba, thank you very much for your time this evening. That was Herman Mashaba, ActionSA leader, talking to us about their picket tomorrow outside the NPA's offices in Pretoria.